Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. A very warm good afternoon to one and all gathered here. The galaxy of intellectuals, honorable guests, benevolent teachers, respected parents, and beloved students. Welcome to the Rajagiri College of Social Sciences Initiation Program, Deeksharambham 2023. The hustle and bustle of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences is finally back. The roses of the Rajagiri garden have bloomed once again. Our dear ones are here to explore the broad horizons of knowledge and wisdom. We look forward with an unshakable belief that each one of us can do better for a brighter tomorrow. We have with us today Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President, Strategy and Growth, Tech Mahindra, Reverend Father Benny Nalkara CMI, Provincial and Manager, SH CMI Province Kochi, Reverend Dr. Saju MD CMI, Principal RCSS, Dr. Binoy Joseph, Associate Director RCSS, Reverend Dr. Shinto Joseph CMI, Assistant Director Hill Campus, Deans, HODs, faculty members, and students to grace this auspicious occasion. As we immerse ourselves in this divine atmosphere of a sacred gathering, the bhajan team will now present the soul-stirring chant Asatoma Jyotirgamaya, which carries a profound message. Asatoma Jyotirgamaya translates to, lead me from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light. In this symbolic act, we will all rise together, holding our lighted diyas as a reflection of our collective journey towards truth and illumination. Let our combined light guide us towards greater wisdom, compassion, and unity. Request the students with the lighted diyas to kindly remain standing while the bhajan team chants the hymn thrice.
Amritam
Thank you. Kindly be seated. At my lowest, God is my hope. At my darkest, God is my light. We begin with a multi-religious prayer session to seek the Lord's blessings.
A reading from the Holy Bible, the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verses 1 to 7. Purpose of the Proverbs. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for attaining wisdom and discipline, for understanding words of insight, for acquiring a disciplined and prudent life, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to the simple, knowledge and discretion to the young. Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance, for understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and discipline. Amen. सत्य ही शिव है, शिव ही सुंदर है। जागो उठ कर देखो, जीवन जो तो जागर है। सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं, सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं, सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं, सुंदरं। सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं, सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं। ईश्वर सत्य है, सत्य ही शिव है, शिव ही सुंदर है। सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं, सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं, सत्यं शिवं सुंदरं।
A reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. Om Shri Bhagavanuvacha Anashritah karma phalam karyam karma yogina सन्न्यासी च योगी च न निर्नर चाक्रियः यं सन्न्यासिमिति प्राहुं योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव नाह्यस्य नस्तसङ्कल्पो योगी भवति कश्चन।
ख्वाजा जी ख्वाजा जी
तेरे दरबार में ख्वाजा सर झुकाते हैं औलिया। तू है उनल वली ख्वाजा, रुतबा है प्यारा। चाहने से तुझको ख्वाजा जी मुस्तफा को पाया।
ख्वाजा मेरे ख्वाजा, ख्वाजा ख्वाजा
from the Holy Quran, Chapter 1, Al-Fatiha, the opening. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahmanir Rahim, Maliki Yawmiddin, Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, Sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim, غير Thank you, team, for that wonderful prayer session. It was beautiful and uplifting. Extending our heartfelt appreciation to the students from RLV College who played the violin, tabla, mridangam, and veena, and our very own Rajagurians for their remarkable skills on the keyboard and vocals. May I now invite Reverend Dr. Shinto Joseph CMI, Assistant Director, Hill Campus, for an introduction to Rajaguri. Over to you, Father.
Reverend Father Benny Nalkara CMI, Provincial and Manager, Father Dr. Saju MD CMI, Principal, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President, Tech Mahindra, Dr. Binoy Joseph, Associate Director, Deans and Heads of various departments, faculty colleagues, my dear Rajagirians and my dear parents. Good afternoon to one and all present here. At the outset, let me congratulate and welcome the newcomers and their families to the Rajagiri family. We call it a family because we try our best to maintain a family spirit in all Rajagiri institutions. Rajagiri College was born out of the educational vision of Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra, the founder of the CMI congregation. Saint Chavra was a great educationalist and a social reformer of the 19th century. He could foresee the changes in the environment and make strategic moves to build a better society based on the fatherhood of God and brotherhood of humanity. Carmelites of Mary Immaculate is the first indigenous religious congregation of India, renders its service to humanity in education, social, healthcare, and other activities aiming at the integral development of the society. CMIs are working in the field of education by establishing institutions of excellence, imparting quality education across the length and breadth of the state and in various parts of India. Currently, the CMI management is a network of more than 800 schools, 60 university colleges, medical college, university, and other technical and non-formal educations in India. Probably you already know that RCSS is the premier institution in imparting higher education in various social sciences, including the flagship courses like MSW and MBA. It has achieved a quite high positions in national rankings and other measurements. Rajagiri has been ranked 30th in NIRF rankings, A++ grade with CGPA of 3.83 on 4-point scale in its fourth cycle of NAC re-accreditation. The MBA program has been accredited by the National Board of Accreditation, NBA. Social work program ranked second in top social work departments in India, and so on. This excellence in teaching learning process results in research, placements, and so on. This excellence is achieved by the highly motivated and collective efforts of commitment by all of us, particularly the management, the principal, faculty, students, parents, and all together. Today, we are extremely happy that you begin your life with Rajagiri. I wish and pray that may you have a very pleasant and happy life at Rajagiri. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. Rajagiri has always endeavored to impart virtues to students, which is a very significant and indispensable parameter in their holistic development. Let us invoke the Almighty's blessings through a mesmerizing prayer dance featuring the beautiful Telugu hymn Yehovah Namore, which translates to, Lord Yehovah has heard my prayers. By his amazing grace, he has accepted me. Day and night, I was a terrible person. Yet, he heard my voice and lifted me. Thank you, team. Let me now invite the honorable dignitaries, Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President, Strategy and Growth Tech Mahindra, Reverend Father Benny Nalkara CMI, Provincial and Manager, Reverend Dr. Saju MD CMI, Principal, and Dr. Binoy Joseph, Associate Director, onto the stage. Leaders instill in their people a hope for success and a belief in themselves to translate vision into reality. Let me now invite Reverend Dr. Saju MD CMI, Principal RCSS, to welcome the gathering.
Respected Provincial and Manager Reverend Father Benny Nalkara CMI, esteemed Chief Guest of the ceremony Mr. Puneet Gupta, Associate Director Dr. Binoy Joseph, Assistant Director Hill Campus Father Shindo Joseph CMI, Father Francis Sebastian, Assistant Director Valley Campus, Honorable members of the Administrative Council, deans, head of departments, faculty members, invited guests, dear parents and students of the incoming batch of 2023 to various postgraduate and undergraduate programs of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences Autonomous. Very good afternoon to you all. It is an honor and privilege to greet you and welcome you all on behalf of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences Autonomous and on behalf of the CMI management to this auspicious occasion. It is with great pleasure that we gather here today to celebrate Deeksharambham, the commencement of the academic year 2023. This occasion holds tremendous significance as it represents a fresh chapter in the educational journey of our students. Rajagiri College of Social Sciences Autonomous, affiliated with Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, offers a range of programs from undergraduate to doctoral levels. For more than 5.5 decades, RCSS has been a beacon of knowledge and hope among the academic community. Name Rajagiri consists of two words, Raja and Giri. Here the Raja is Christ the King and Giri is a hill. Rajagiri institutions are dedicated to the most sacred heart of Jesus, and one of the most cherished values we have is a deep trust and faith in God. We just had the privilege of witnessing a heartfelt tradition at Rajagiri, the handing over the lighted diya to our new students, a symbolic gesture that signifies the passing on of knowledge, wisdom, and the spirit of Rajagiri to you, our bright young minds. Rajagiri College of Social Sciences goes above and beyond traditional academics, emphasizing the holistic development of its students. Through a diverse range of activities, the college offers a plethora of opportunities for students to engage in extracurricular pursuits, assume leadership roles, participate in value-added programs, and enroll in courses that foster their all-round development. We at Rajagiri nurture our students by providing a vibrant and enriching environment that fosters their personal, academic, and professional growth. Here, you will find a multitude of avenues for exploration, from academics to arts, sports to social engagements, research to leadership, and much more. The college ensures that Rajagirians emerge as well-rounded individuals ready to contribute meaningfully to society. We have dedicated centers and services on the campus, life which expands us live it fully every day, is the Rajagiri Center for Happiness and Well-being is one of them. It assists our students to attain greater fulfillment by improving relationships, achieving personal goals, and managing transitions, dealing with their problems, and making decisions efficiently. Another one is the Rajagiri Human Resource Development Cell strives to ensure continuous accompaniment and hand-holding in their personal and professional journey. Arts and sports activities will play a vital role in your life at Rajagiri. The physical education department is all set to improve and maintain the physical fitness components of all the students through the campus fitness drive. Rajagiri College offers an array of cultural activities through various clubs and associations and hosts vibrant festivals like Dudi, Euphoria, Splendore, Siesta, and more. These events provide a platform for Rajagirians to showcase their talents and represent the college in the state and national level competitions. At the heart of Rajagiri's educational approach lies the Rajagiri Immersive Learning Experience methodology, a pedagogical innovation that aims to develop socially responsible professionals. It provides students with a well-rounded education that prepares them for the real world and empowers them to make a positive impact. On that note, I turn to my responsibility of welcoming this esteemed gathering. First and foremost, let me extend my hearty welcome to our esteemed provincial and manager, Reverend Father Benny Nalkarasiamai, a great theologian and illustrious speaker, a pillar of unwavering support and guidance. Your vision and dedication have been instrumental in shaping Rajagiri institutions, and we are happy to have your presence with us today. On behalf of RCSS, Reverend Father, I extend you a hearty welcome. It is our great pleasure to have with us Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President, Strategy and Growth, Tech Mahindra, as the chief guest of Deeksharambham 2023. Mr. Gupta is a senior executive with 27 years of industry experience. He leads strategic sales for the high-tech, healthcare, and insurance industries for Tech Mahindra, and is responsible for adding new high-value clients. He has worked for large MNCs like IBM, Accenture, Deloitte, Infosys, and DHL, and over the years, he has undertaken multiple responsibilities. This includes leading the marketing function of Deloitte for the US market, developing global business strategies for multinationals, setting up multiple global centers across countries, and leading and developing high-performing multiple large teams for multiple companies across multiple countries. Amidst his busy corporate schedule, he pursues his passion for traveling and sports. It is our pleasure to have Mr. Puneet Gupta with us to grace this stage. On behalf of the CMA management and the Rajagiri community, let me extend a hearty welcome to Mr. Puneet Gupta, the chief guest of Deeksharambham 2023. Welcome, sir. I am pleased to welcome Dr. Binoy Joseph, Associate Director, RCSS and RBS, to Deeksharambham 2023. A person with impactful leadership and vision significantly shapes the college's academic programs, extracurricular activities, and institutional culture, thus featuring the college's prestige and standing in the academic community. Welcome, sir. Let me take the opportunity to welcome Father Dr. Shindo Joseph, CMI Assistant Director, Rajagiri Hill Campus. Father is a vibrant leader and a person with a creative mind. I welcome you, Father. I warmly welcome Reverend Father Francis Sebastian, CMI Assistant Director, Rajagiri Hill Campus. Welcome you, Father. I extend a warm welcome to the respected members of the Administrative Council and all the invited guests. With sincere delight that I welcome the deans, heads of department, and faculty and staff members who serve as mentors and guides, fostering an atmosphere of intellectual curiosity, critical thinking, and innovation. We greatly appreciate your presence here today and your commitment to fostering a conducive learning environment for our students. I welcome you all. Dear parents, as you welcome your children to Rajagiri, we thank you for entrusting us with the education and future of your children. We understand the faith you have placed in us and assure you that we will strive to provide them with the best educational experience possible. We welcome you to be a part of our journey, and we encourage you to engage actively in the growth and development of your children. Welcome you all. To the students joining the prestigious programs at Rajagiri College of Social Science, I extend my heartfelt congratulations. You have embarked on a path that will shape your future and equip you with the necessary skills and knowledge to excel in your chosen fields. Remember, you have joined the RCSS, listed as the college with potential for excellence in education, which has been accredited A++ with UGC's NAC based on its All India high score of 3.83 upon 4. The college has consistently ranked in the top 2 colleges in India for programs in social work by national and private agencies. In NIRF 2023, RCSS is ranked the 30th best college in the country. It is our joy to share that we have consistently stayed among the top 30 colleges in India in the national rankings. The college features as one among the 168 institutions in the country listed for the prestigious Study in India program of MHRD, Government of India. This is a natural consequence of our NAC and NIRF rankings. RCSS has very strong international linkage with more than 60 prestigious universities and institutions across the world and will give you ample opportunities in curricular and co-curricular as well as extracurricular activities during your time. We hope you will thrive on our campus and discover your true potential in life. From now on, you are a part of the Rajagiri family and fraternity. Together, let us create an environment where learning knows no boundaries, where innovation thrives, and where compassion and empathy form the bedrock of our actions. Let us embrace opportunities that lie ahead, knowing that with hard work and perseverance, we can achieve great heights. Once again, a hearty welcome to all of you. Thank you for being a part of this special day. Let us make this academic journey filled with immense learning, growth, and cherished memories. I remain. Thank you.
Thank you, Father. He who puts his heart and soul in uplifting others attains dignity. May I now invite Reverend Father Benny Nalkara CMI, Provincial and Manager, SH CMI Province Kochi, for the Presidential Address.
Mr. Puneet Gupta, the chief guest of the day, Reverend Dr. Saju MD, the principal, Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, Dr. Binoy Joseph, the associate director, Reverend Dr. Shindo Joseph, assistant director, Hill Campus, Reverend Dr. Francis Sebastian, assistant director, Valley Campus, respected deans, HODs, members of the teaching staff and supporting staff, beloved parents, dear freshers, the young Rajagirians, a very good afternoon to all of you. You have been already introduced to the Rajagiri campus, and also the management, the CMI congregation. Father Principal has already mentioned the name of this institution, what is the meaning of it, the name Rajagiri. I know that to be part of Rajagiri family was a dream for many of you. And I am prompt to ask the question, why you are here at Rajagiri? It may not be only because of the fact that Rajagiri has become a brand name in the field of quality education. It may not be only because your friends and relatives might have told you it is a good place to be here and to learn. I think there are other reasons to be part of this place. And what is that reason? You will be discovering, finding out this reason day by day, I'm sure. I just want to tell you, by selecting to be here today at Rajagiri, you have decided to be part of a great legacy. As mentioned in the introduction, a great legacy of education envisioned by Saint Kuriakos Elias Chavara and other founding fathers of CMI congregation. Our founding fathers envisioned education as the means for social transformation. And the key words we can find in their vision are the integral liberation, holistic development, and all-inclusiveness. And even today, we cherish those key words and we continue to put them into practice through our educational endeavors. In the history of CMI congregation, I think we can find two movements related to educational endeavors. Immediately after starting our congregation at Mananam in 1831, in 1846, Saint Kuriakos Elias Chavara established a Sanskrit school at Mananam and admitted everyone without any discrimination of caste, creed, or religion. We all know that Sanskrit was considered as a language of the elite of those times. But there was no discrimination at that school started by Saint Kuriakos Elias Chavara. And that is considered as the beginning of the so-called Pallikudam revolution in Kerala. Then Kuriakos Elias Chavra, after 2 decades, gave a edict to the churches in Kerala as his capacity as the Vicar General of the Kerala Syrian Catholic community to have Pallikudam attached to the churches, Pallikudam to the Pallis, to the churches. And that is what we envisage as Pallikudam revolution. And as it is mentioned here, our own congregation is having more than 800 educational institutions all over India and in other few countries outside India. And after some time, in 1864, we have the first school in Mananam for public education or primary education. We consider it as a Mananam movement in the field of education from the part of our congregation. And after 100 years, in 1964, we started the first English medium school of our congregation in Kerala, again at Kalamassery in the name with Rajagiri, maybe the first institution to be named as Rajagiri 60 years ago. And from there we have so many institutions in the name of Rajagiri, in the professional colleges or institutions of higher education. It is a brand name of quality education today. We can consider it as the Rajagiri movement in the field of education in the history of CMI congregation. And today, you are here becoming part of this great legacy of the great educational vision and endeavors of CMI congregation, and also be part of a Rajagiri movement in the field of education. And what makes Rajagiri unique? What is the signature of Rajagiri? It is nothing but the social commitment, social sensitivity, and social commitment. It is not meant only for the students of social work. In all courses that we are having here, we always emphasize on social commitment and social sensitivity. Our students, you young Rajagirians, are here to be socially sensitive, socially committed citizens of this country. We need to become other-centered and other-oriented people in this highly selfish and self-centered world. Our learning should make us servants of the society and the community in the future. And with that vision, only we at Rajagiri try to form you, transform you to the citizens of the future of our country, our society, and your families. And at this juncture, I would just want to remind you certain things, just 1 or 2 points that may be useful for your life here. Some of you may be spending 2 years, some 3 years, some maybe 5 years or more here at Rajagiri. Always, you are here with the aim to be successful in life. Yes, you are here to be successful. In order to be successful, you need to be faithful. Faithful to the responsibility entrusted with you. As Lenin told the students, you have 3 responsibilities. Your first duty is to study, and your second duty is to study, but your third duty is also to study. Your responsibility primarily here is to learn, but more than that, we need to be faithful to many other things here. As you may be knowing, our success depends on the use of the talents that we are having. How do we use the talents given to us? Each one of us, no doubt, endowed with different talents. You may be, or some of you may be, aware of a parable told by Jesus Christ in the Bible. It's the parable of the talents. You know, some words have their origins from the Bible. And word talent, very often we use, is a biblical word. In the times of Jesus, it was a measurement, talent. One talent measured equal to 33 or 34 kilograms of something. If it is gold, 33 to 34 kilograms of gold was considered as one talent. So a master called 3 servants. To the first one, he gave 5 talents and asked him to go do business and multiply it. To the second one, he gave 2 talents, asked him the same thing. And to the third one, gave 1 talent. It is said in the parable, this difference was according to their abilities. After some time, we find one who got 5 talents coming back to the master and giving him 10, doubled it. Master was very happy. He congratulated him, calling him good and faithful servant. You have doubled this, what is given to you, and be part of my joy. The second one came with the 4 talents, again multiplying it. The master said the same thing to him, good and faithful servant, be part of my joy, my jubilation. And the third one, he came back with the same talent without multiplying it. And he said the reason, I knew that you are a hard-hearted person. You are a prejudiced one. So I just made a pit and just hid that talent in the pit. It is here. Take it. And the master was angry with him. He addressed him, you wicked and lazy one. And he's being punished there. And my dear young friends, the story really tells us to make use of our talents. I just want to make a different reflection on this story. What happened to this third servant, one who hid the talent, making a pit? We call him a lazy servant, and the master also called him a lazy servant. But in fact, he was not so lazy. He worked hard at least to make a pit, and he hid that talent there. He had that willingness to at least dig that small pit there. What was wrong with him? His lack of orientation, or his lack of dedication in life, his lack of priorities in life, and his wrong notion about relationship in life, that made him to be perished. This danger can happen in our lives also. We all are endowed, bestowed with talents in life according to our abilities. And our call is to multiply them, double them. Here at Rajagiri, you are with your talents. You will be given ample opportunities to multiply them. And it is your responsibility to have right orientation in life, right priorities in life, right relationships in life. Definitely we will be helping you for that. Our teachers will be helping you to have this direct orientation in life. And it is your duty to be faithful. And always keep in mind, Your successfulness in life will depend only on this faithfulness. Secondly, I want you to be grateful people in life. Some of you may be wondering, that is to be mentioned at the time of convocation, graduation, gratitude. No. From this day onwards, you should be here with a sense of gratitude. Gratitude to God, gratitude towards your parents, gratitude towards your teachers and your own friends here. It is said, we are indebted to people from the very moment of our birth to our death, even after death, to so many people. Sometimes a question, who touched you for the first time in your life? Who touched you for the first time in your life? Sometimes you may be thinking to answer your own mother. No. Normally, it may be a nurse or doctor or someone we call midwife. They are the people who touched us for the first time. And throughout our life, we come across many people who touch our life in different ways, who help us and to whom we are indebted to. And when we die, our body will be taken into the cemetery or the burying place. A grave will be made there, and your body will be kept in that. And at least in the case of Christian funerals, your relatives will put a handful of soil into that grave. But who will be the person who will be putting the largest amount of soil into that grave? The undertaker of the cemetery, who may be unknown to us, who may be not at all related to us. We are indebted to that person even after our death. My dear students, when you begin your academic journey here at Rajagiri, be grateful. Have the attitude of gratitude to your parents, your teachers, your well-wishers, and all your friends. Because we know, when you will have feast, your parents might have fasting. When you will be writing the exams, your mothers might be on their knees. Let's always remember them with gratitude. Let us be thankful to God for His abundant blessings in your lives, including your being here at Rajagiri today. What's the meaning of the expression thank you? We often use the term thank you. When we say thank you, we say to people, I don't exist without you. Thank you means I don't exist without you. Let your life be here at Rajagiri always a repetition of this understanding. My dear young Rajagirians, your humility might be one of the reasons that will make you successful in life. Continue to be humble with your learning in life. In Indian terminology, to be well educated is to be beneath, which has the additional meaning of humility. Knowledge and success should make people humble, listening to others, learning from others, respecting the knowledge of others. Always keep in mind that we need to learn until we die. You are here today becoming partakers of a great legacy of education, as I mentioned. A great education vision envisioned by St. Kuriakose Elias Chavara, forming leaders who are intellectually competent, spiritually mature, morally upright, psychologically integrated, physically healthy, and socially acceptable, who will champion the cause of justice, love, truth, peace, and ever open to further growth. Growth into such a holistic and integrated personality. As the motto of Rajagiri inspires us, learn, serve, and excel. All the best. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Father, for those very insightful and thought-provoking words. A seasoned IT professional with a profound experience of over 27 years with large multinational corporations like IBM, Accenture, Deloitte, Infosys, and DHL, adding high-value clients in different domains like telecom, energies, healthcare, and insurance. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President, Strategy and Growth, Tech Mahindra, onto the stage for addressing the gathering. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much, Principal Father Saju, Angela Matthews, and the entire management of Rajgiri to invite me here to grace you for this very important occasion of Deeksharambham 2023. It's a pleasure for me to be here. All the students here, the parents, the faculty, and all the administrative people here, a very good afternoon. When I got the invite, and when I spoke with Madam Angela, I was thinking around what do I really need to talk to you and exchange my thoughts. I have two daughters who are, your age. One of them is just starting college, and the other has just passed the 10th. And I was wondering what can I actually speak to them and guide them from my experiences of life. I have worked for 27 years in the leading multinational organizations in the world. But what does that mean? What does that give to me? Or did I meet my future goals? What do I really want to do? Did I dream of them when I started off? What did I inculcate when I was learning? When I was a student like you? I did my BSc, similar to what people out here are doing. And then I had my lofty dreams for where I reached. I just thought I'll share some of those learnings. Probably they would help you in your life journey. The fundamental part about growth is to continuously keep learning. There is no end to learning. Everybody came, did their graduation, did their post-graduation, and that's about it. That's what they feel. I have finished my learning. But that's not true. And the reason why that's not true is because there are multiple factors which drive how you learn and how you grow in the future. 20 years back, or 27, 30 years back when I was in the same seat as you, life was very different. I didn't have the same technology as you have today to do the same kind of research that you have today. I had to sit in a library to do all the kind of research. You have it on your fingertips. You have it on Google. There was no Google at that time. So, new technologies which are coming in, and they're coming in so fast, you have to learn them. The second most important thing is new age people like you. Your thought process, your skills, the ideas that you have, the way you want to implement is much faster than what we had in our times. You want to grow faster than us, or we wanted to at that point in time. Your availability or the availability of various mediums of communication to you is much greater than what we had at our point in time. Therefore, you have to keep learning. The span of learning, in our times, you would see that a certain village or, in our times, people would not, they would continue doing the same thing for a period of time. But now, that has all changed. Every 2 years, you see something completely new in the industry, which impacts your life directly. One of the most important things along with learning is to unlearn and reinvent yourself. Whatever you learn today, you may have to unlearn that to understand new technologies and reinvent yourself through new technologies. When I started my career, I never knew that I would be where I am today. That was a lofty goal for me, a lofty dream. I started off doing my MBA marketing and I went and did sales. I was doing sales for a large organization. I was the best sales manager for the organization. I went and did marketing. I went and did consulting. That was not my path. But I did consulting because I was open to opportunities. I was open in my mind to learn new stuff. The first day of I think the first 1 month of consulting, I was this novice 25-year-old guy sitting in front of a president of a textile agent company in Bhilwara, telling him that what you are doing is wrong compared to what I'm going to tell you. And I'm in a consulting world only for the last, I think, couple of months. He's been in that industry for the last 25, 30 years. So, unless you learn, you can't talk. So it's very important to keep and continuously keep learning. It will never end. If you end it, you will be overtaken by either your peers or by people below you who would have learned much more techniques than you. A simple example is your parents, or my parent actually, I'd like to put it that way. My dad, he does not like to use mobile app from a banking perspective. He believes that if I use an HDFC mobile app, my money will go away here and there. He's 84 years old. He's not willing to learn that. So he yet continues doing the same old processes of going to a bank, giving a check, and using the same old processes. Whereas life has moved much farther and much further away. What does this learning do? In addition to all this learning that you do, you need to put in a lot of hard work. Where does hard work lead you? All of you have put in a lot of learning and a lot of hard work to reach where you are today in this extremely prestigious and renowned and premier institute, Rajgiri. You are here today. You've put in all that hard work. But now where? Now what? Have you thought about it? What happens and why did you do your hard work? So that you come here. Is the end result this? Is the end result getting in Rajgiri? Is the end result getting into a big institution? No, not really. Hard work is the foundation of your value system, which enables you to continuously keep working when times are tough. When you will go into an organization, they are not going to be very lenient with you just because you came from Rajgiri. They're going to give you crazy deadlines. They're going to make you slog 9 or 10 hours a day. Probably you haven't done that right now. You would have come 9 o'clock in the morning, go back at about 4 o'clock in the evening, studied here for some time, and then you may be enjoying yourself at home. Some may be working. But when you go into the industry, you're going to be made to slog and you're going to be made to work really, really hard with crazy timelines. How do you do that? The hard work that you do now is what is your foundation for the hard work that you do in the future. It does not stop you. People who don't do hard work primarily focus around 2 or 3 areas. Either they're procrastinating, or they don't know that the work that they're doing, because of which they don't provide that kind of hard work. What you need to do is you got to constantly work hard. If you don't work hard, somebody else will work hard and do the same work. And therefore, you won't be given the opportunities. So, working hard, continuously learning are a must. What does hard work lead to? And why the hard work? Hard work primarily is to achieve a particular goal. What is your goal? Your goal till today was to reach Rajgiri. You've done that. You worked hard, you learned hard, you achieved your goal, which was Rajgiri as a college to study in. What now? Do you know what your strengths and weaknesses are? How do you move ahead? Where are you going to go from here? As an individual, does everybody out here know what their strengths and weaknesses are? And if you don't, how will you find that out? For that, the most interesting way is to find a goal. Have a goal. Have a goal. The way I look at goal is a 3x3 goal concept. This is my concept. 3 years, 3 goals. Only have 3 goals and only for 3 years. Do everything that you need to do in those 3 goals, create the activities and try to achieve them in those 3 years. Don't change your goals. Stick to them. You will achieve them. You have your goals, and then you will understand what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses in achieving those goals. Then you can focus on your strengths and weaknesses. That's how you will understand where you need to grow, what you need to learn, what kind of hard work needs to get put into yourself to achieve your goal. Any goal is always a good goal. If you can think of it, you can do it. No goal is outlandish. If Elon Musk believes that he can take people to Mars, it's not outlandish. If he can believe that there can be a hypercar which moves from Los Angeles to San Francisco in about 30, 40 minutes, it's not outlandish. Why is our goals outlandish? You need to find a way to achieve your goal. And therefore, the path will arise. And therefore, you will find your strengths and weaknesses and you will get people to work along with you. It's very important. If you don't have a goal, then you become part of somebody else's goal. So you need to have your own goals and direct your own life. That's something I didn't do in the very beginning of my career. I didn't have a goal. I was extremely happy in doing what I was doing because I joined an extremely good organization, and then I got pushed around a little bit before I really realized this. So I request you to please think about a goal. When you have a goal, and to achieve a goal, you will need to think out of the box. You will need to be creative. You will also need to innovate. What kind of innovation can you do? Right now, in India, there are 108 unicorns. What does unicorn mean? These are startups which started and are now $1 billion each. The total value of these unicorns is right now $340 billion. This is as of March 2023. Why can't you innovate? Can you innovate in your work right now? Do you need to innovate to achieve your goals and your passions and your dreams? Yes, you do. How can I, sitting here, innovate? That's the same question that we have when we are in office. How can we innovate? We don't have those lofty, or we may not have those lofty ideas as some of the other guys who are creating these interesting new businesses. For example, Nykaa. For example, eBay. For example, your Flipkart. For example, Swiggy. These are all unicorns. Somebody thought about it and you are reaping the benefit of it. If you don't, each and every individual out here, till today, in their own personal space, has done innovation. Have you heard of the word jugaad? Jugaad is nothing else but innovation at a very small scale. Everybody has done jugaad in their house or in certain circumstances when you need a temporary quick fix to a certain problem. If you've not heard of the word jugaad, please go and read the book Jugaad. It is extremely insightful. In corporations, we all do innovation. There's a lofty terminology called innovation, transformation. All these are great words that we keep using. But do we really do it? Yes and no. To an extent where you develop a new product, that's a long-term innovative, long-term transformation program, and you've come out with a new product which you go and sell in the market. But at times, you are doing a very quick fix to a certain problem that you have currently. Maybe in a presentation, maybe in your normal work that you need to present or to provide to your managers. And everybody calls that out-of-the-box thinking. It's the same thing. When you do out-of-the-box thinking, you are appreciated in the industry. You are told you've done a great work. But what is out-of-the-box thinking actually? It's nothing else but jugaad. You have done some kind of a quick fix to a problem and then provided the results. It may not be a long-term situation. A lot of times, jugaad becomes the basis for long innovations and actual practical solutions to an organization. You would have heard or read in the newspapers about Anand Mahindra. Anand Mahindra keeps looking at these crazy different websites, and he found a website which had an auto rickshaw who had built a one-bedroom house on the auto rickshaw. And that was extremely fascinating. Such a small piece of transportation in which you have a one-bedroom house. He looked at that and said, what is it in that? He spoke with the innovator and asked, what is in that I can use in my business? His business is nothing else but tractors and cars. How do I combine all this stuff that he has on this auto rickshaw to make it into him? It's very important. So small jugaad becomes large innovations. Sometimes a wrong experiment can get you another product. For example, 3M was trying to build the most stickiest glue on the planet. And they wanted to build that for the space industry. In case of there are issues, you can build that and use that. But instead of building the strongest glue, they built the weakest glue. And today, that weakest glue is used by every student out here as sticky tapes. The sticky pads that you have, which you pull out and then use, that's a 3M product. They wanted to make the strongest, they made the weakest. But they utilized the weakest into a product, and they started to sell it. That's interesting. So everybody out here, please try to keep thinking of how to reinvent, innovate yourselves. It is the only way forward. When you're going to innovate, another very interesting thing is going to happen is there's going to be a lot of change. A lot of change. And people don't like change. And there's a wording, very famous words, that change is the only constant. everything is going to change. Either you accept it or you reject it. If you reject it, people will move ahead, you will be left behind. If you accept it, then you will be with the crowd or ahead of the crowd. Change starts in the mind. If you mentally don't accept that change, you cannot change. And if you do, you will bear a lot of positivity in the future. For example, change leads to, if you change in your mind, you will get opportunities. Opportunities leads to growth. Growth leads to visibility. And visibility leads to additional responsibility. And that's primarily the way you are there in the industry. The person with the CEO, for example, he has the maximum responsibility because he had the best visibility at a point in time, because he did the best growth in whatever he was doing, because he was willing to change. So if you look at it from the CEO's perspective or you look at it from your perspective going up, it's exactly the same. You have to change your mindset. And you have to change primarily because there is just advent of so much technology that's coming in. It's impacting your life every day. People now don't even go to the bazaars to buy vegetables. People don't go to the bazaar, to the movie theater to buy a ticket. My daughter at times asks me, how did you live a life without the technology we have today? How? She can't even fathom that. But look at yourselves. You're about 18 to 20 years of age. 18 to 20 years of age today, do you think 18 years hence or 20 years hence, you'll live in exactly the same world as you are today? You're not. If you're not going to live in the exact same world, then you have to change with the way the world is moving. I'm sure everybody out here on the dais, if they look back at where they were at your age to where they are today, and the change that they've seen is massive. So if you put yourselves in our shoes at the age of 50 or the age of 60, do you think there'll be a lot of change? Probably you guys will go at the age of 50 or 60 to the moon for a vacation. With the way Elon Musk and every guy is actually trying to move space travel. Now, if that's going to happen, that's a lot of change. So I would request everybody, please accept change. Please don't push back. One of the biggest things about change is people fear it. If I change myself, I don't know that unknown. What's there next for me? I don't have a clue. I've learned through the books. Now I have to learn through an iPad and an iPod. I can't mark those on the book. So I don't know how to read. I can't comprehend. But fear is the only thing that will drive you to actually do it. You need to accept that fear, understand that fear, and say, I will overcome that fear. There is this ad called Dar ke aage jeet hai. Yes, you need to do that. Have you heard the story or read the book about Apollo 13? They were all going to die up in space. They didn't give up. They used innovation, they used jugaad to actually come down. They used fear to actually do work much faster. They had a goal that they needed to get all the oxygen into the capsule where the astronauts were. The entire teams worked extremely hard, and they used learnings from across the world to actually get those astronauts back. If you've not seen, I would highly recommend you see the movie Apollo 13. All these that I'm talking about all get actually extremely well said in this movie Apollo 13. You need all of them. Even if one of these don't work, those astronauts could never have come back. So, at the end, what I want to communicate is Jack Ma, the owner of Alibaba, he once said, between the age of 20 and 30, you study, get a good job, get a very good manager, boss, and learn the right way to do things. Between 30 and 40, if you have an idea, please run after the idea, try to implement that idea, don't worry about losing or failing. Between 40 and 50, whatever skills you have, hone those skills, don't try something new. And 50 onwards, give back to the society. So here we are today. You guys are just about reaching 20. Please learn. Please get into a good organization, get good managers and work and learn the way to do the things right, ethically. Whereas me, on this side of the podium, I've reached the age of 50 and I'm now learning to give back to the community through my discussions and talks with people like you. At the end, do not fear. Accept all challenges. Make a creative, innovative mind. Have goals, 3 by 3. Remember 3 by 3. Work hard and continuously keep learning. These are the mantras which I would like to leave you with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for gracing us with your wisdom, knowledge, and experience. We promise to keep learning and growing. May I now take this opportunity to invite our provincial and manager, Reverend Father Benny Nalkara CMI, to present a memento to the chief guest, Mr. Puneet Gupta, as a token of our love and gratitude. Thank you, Father. Thank you, sirs. If your actions inspire others to learn more, dream more, and do more, you're a leader. May I now invite Dr. Binoy Joseph, Associate Director, RCSS, to propose the vote of thanks.
Reverend Father Benny Nalkara, CMI, our Provincial Manager and the President of this function. Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President, Strategy and Growth, Tech Mahindra, the Chief Guest for this function. Reverend Dr. Saju, MD, CMI, our beloved Principal. Reverend Dr. Shinto Joseph, CMI, our Assistant Director of the Hill Campus. Other Deans, HODs, faculty members, non-teaching staff, parents, and dear students. Deeksharambham 2023, the initiation ceremony of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences, is coming to a close. But it is the beginning of your life in Rajagiri for next 3 years if you're an undergraduate student, or 2 years if you're a postgraduate student. We have heard the various speakers talking about the importance of leveraging the opportunity. Definitely, this is a great opportunity for you all, especially when our country is growing at a tremendous pace. So to catch up with this pace, we need to learn and grow faster. I'm sure each and every one of you who has joined Rajagiri this year will definitely make use of this great opportunity, as mentioned by our manager. Let me get on to my duty for proposing thanks to our beloved provincial manager, Reverend Father Benny Nalkara, CMI. He has given the legacy of CMI and the importance of the education by Saint Kuriakose Elias Chavra, and also highlighted the CMI values and the need for upholding it. He talked about faithfulness, responsibility, and attitude of gratitude, and to have humility. He used the parable of the talents, which is mentioned in the Holy Bible, and appeal to all freshers to make use of every opportunity in Rajagiri so that you will multiply your talents. On behalf of everyone present here, and Father, I extend you a very hearty thanks for being present for the Deeksharambham 2023. The chief guest for today's function, Deeksharambham 2023, is Mr. Puneet Gupta, Vice President Strategy and Growth, Tech Mahindra. By using his own experiences in corporate, he has assured you students for learning, especially growing by learning. He has also requested the students, especially the freshers, for the importance of reinventing yourself, especially by unlearning and learning something new, especially with an open attitude for change. He has highlighted the importance of having 3x3 goals, that is, goals for each year to be set by each student, and let every day be eventful in such a way that you inch closer to these goals, especially by leveraging your strengths and also overcoming or tiding over your weaknesses. Sir, thank you so much for gracing this occasion and giving a very valuable message to our students. Need to especially thank our beloved principal, Reverend Dr. Saju, MD, CMI, who has welcomed you to Rajagiri College of Social Sciences and also highlighted the importance of Rajagiri immersive learning. And he has mentioned that please make use of every opportunity in Rajagiri, and also to make use of not only being the teaching learning aspect, but also to be socially sensitive and committed. So along with Father Manager and Father Principal, the social commitment and social sensitivity is highlighted very much. On behalf of everyone present here, Father, I extend a very hearty thanks. Reverend Dr. Shindo Joseph, CMI, our Assistant Director of our Rajagiri College of Social Sciences Hill Campus, has made a presentation on Rajagiri legacy and also highlighted the quality of education that Rajagiri group of institutions impart. I request all the students to take Rajagiri College of Social Sciences to the next level. Only when you perform, we also move to the next level. So, Reverend Dr. Shindo Joseph, CMI, a big thanks from all of us for your words on Rajagiri legacy and importance of learning. I take this opportunity to thank all the senior students who has taken active participation and performed and showed a great performance in multi-religious prayer and the prayer dance, and also organized the Deeksharambham 2023. A big thanks to all the seniors. A word of special thanks to our guests from RLB College of Music for joining together with our senior students for performing the multi-religious prayer. A big thanks to each one of them. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Ann Baby, Dean Student Affairs of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences Hill Campus, and all the teaching and non-teaching staff, and also all of the supporting staff for organizing Deeksharambham 2023. I also take this opportunity to thank our Master of Ceremony, Professor Maria Painadat, for a good performance for this initiation Deeksharambham 2023. Before I conclude, so let the freshers, the new Rajagirians, be able to perform by leveraging the opportunities on a daily basis and be able to achieve their goals in the future years to come. Wishing you all the very best. I remain. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Let this moment be a tribute to the unwavering dedication and love we share for our country. Let us all stand tall with hearts filled with pride as we join in singing our national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल गंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you. Please be seated. We've now come to the close of Deeksharambham 2023. I now request the dignitaries to please join the audience. May I now invite Dr. Binoy Joseph, Associate Director, for a presentation on institutional guidelines. Over to you, sir.
So, good evening, everyone. On behalf of my faculty colleague, Dr. Manoj Matthew, who was supposed to make this presentation, I take this opportunity to make a small presentation on the various institutional guidelines, especially about the conduct and discipline in the campus. This is for both UG and PG students of our college. Time and again, it was mentioned that only when we have good conduct and discipline, we will be able to leverage the opportunities that we have in the college. The high quality of education imparted by Rajagiri institutions is possible only when we have good discipline. And good discipline is of utmost importance for the students in the campus. So let us talk about the dress code first. For the undergraduate students, from Monday to Friday, we have college uniform. I hope every student has taken measurement for the college uniform, and you will have to wear black formal shoes. So when uniforms are given to you, by then you should be able to procure a pair of black formal shoes, and we insist that the students come to the campus by wearing uniform and black shoes. On Saturday, we have casual dress. So it is clearly mentioned it should be within the boundaries of decency. Right? And clothing must not be revealing, distracting, or gang related. In the past, 5 students were dismissed because they worn the wrong dress at the right occasion. Their way of dressing hurt the religious sentiments of one group, and there was a complaint lodged, and finally we had to terminate all of them. So please note, dress code is very serious. And we upheld that because we groomed to be all to be managers and leaders of tomorrow, or maybe social workers of tomorrow. Regarding postgraduates, we don't have any uniform. Monday, we have a formal wear. That means it is clear we have formal full sleeve shirt, trousers and shoes. And for girls, trouser suits, salwar suits with well-pinned shawl or saris. This is for Monday, where we insist that you all come in formals. Coming to the next days, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, you have to come in semi-formal dress. It's not formal because Monday, one day we insist on having as formal. Rest all days, students are requested to come in semi-formal days. Please change the slide. Please change the slide. Yeah, Tuesdays and Wednesdays semi-formal, boys with half-sleeve shirt and trousers, and girls with salwar or kurta. Move on. Thursdays and Fridays semi-casual, boys shirt and trousers or jeans, and girls kurta with jeans or salwar. So it is very clear. Monday we have a particular dress code, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then we have semi-casual on Thursdays and Fridays. Saturday we have casual, and same. When you wear the casuals, it will always be within the boundaries of decency. Move on. So these are some illustrations. Please move on. With regard to footwear or shoes, I mentioned about black shoes formal. So on rainy days, all students are allowed to wear black sandals. But please note the model. Please move on. These models are not allowed. So let us be very clear. If anyone violates this, then that is considered to be an indiscipline and serious disciplinary action will be initiated. Please move on. Regarding hair and grooming, well-groomed and neatly tied hair. That is common for both boys and girls. Hair color is allowed. We have become liberal this year. But students must stick to subtle colors like burgundy, brown, etc. So all my faculty members will be surprised. Now why suddenly there is a change in policy? And use of fluorescent colors or colors like blue, green, yellow, purple, etc. not allowed. Please move on. Beard have to be trimmed and groomed for boys. Move on. Usage of mobile phones. So as per the rule, the government and university rule, no student is allowed to use mobile phone in the college, especially in the class. We don't frisk for finding mobile phones. That is not our policy. But if your phone rings or if anyone is found using it, then it's a matter of indiscipline and serious action will be taken. No arguing. The policy is very clear. right? You can use your mobile phones outside the college premises or in cafeteria. Let us be very clear. Whatever be the reason, you are not supposed to use the mobile phone, and it will be confiscated. And also, I think next slide talks about fine. So please don't resort to using mobile phone. You are allowed to use the mobile phone during lunch break, and that too outside the class, not in classes anyway. Okay, move on. Oh, this I have already mentioned. So, no usage of mobile phones in silent mode. Please note. Please don't come out with the excuse that it was a silent mode and things like that. If you look at a message, that itself is considered the usage. If the tone of the message is there, it will be confiscated, especially in the class. So please don't resort to use of mobile phones in the classrooms, especially, and also in the college premises, strict guidelines are given. Please move on. Late coming. Okay, so please note, all students are supposed to have 75% of attendance for you to write the end semester exam or the exam in lieu of university exam. So you need to have 75% of attendance. So to get 75% of attendance, you have to be physically present. And if you come late, then you will lose the attendance for that session. Please note, on medical grounds, it is a prerogative of the principal, father principal, to condone attendance till 65%, but not below 65% even on medical grounds. Many students have approached the High Court stating that the principal is not giving condonation below 65%. The High Court has given clear directions to principal of Rajagiri College of Social Sciences not to give any condonation below 65%. Have to uphold the rules of the university and the government. And please note, condonation will be given only once in a year. And 2 times in the whole program. So if it's a UG program, if you have 3 years, you will get only 2 condemnations and maximum 1 condemnation in a year. Later, don't come out with lame excuses. Only on medical grounds, while the principal has the right to give condemnation up to 65%. Whatever be the reason, no condemnations below 65%. So, let all the students reach class in the morning sufficiently early so that you will not lose attendance for the session, and hence you will not fall back on attendance. Please note, there are marks for attendance also from 75 to 100%. So it is mandatory for students to attend the class so that they also get marks for their internal exam. These are some of the broader guidelines, institutional guidelines. Please note, if students are to represent the college for competitions outside, then the request has to come through the Dean Student Affairs and has to get the approval of the Father Principal. Why? Because we want only certain teams to be representing our college, not too many teams representing our college. We encourage students to participate in various fests, not only outside colleges in Kerala, but also in our state. Sorry, outside colleges in state and also within. But we need to have prior permission and approval from the college to represent the college. If we are wrongly representing the college, that is without the permission of the college, it is a serious offense that can lead to suspension and dismissal. Please note, usage of alcohol within the college, in the class, within the campus, in the hostel is a serious offense. Smoking is also a very serious offense. Usage of drugs is even a very, very serious offense. In the past, we had to terminate many students across programs for using or indulging in intoxications through drugs, alcohols, and leading to or smoking in the hostels. This is applicable for both boys and girls. So parents, please note, we will not be diluting on any of the standards. Hence, please don't come back to the deans, HODs, faculties or batch in charge or father principal stating that we were ignorant, we were not knowing. That's why we have made this common presentation. Please upheld the decorum of the college. Please ensure that high quality education is imparted to our wards, and let us think big. Let all our students get placements and also get opportunity to do higher education in premium institutions in India and abroad. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you, sir. Dignitaries, faculty members, parents, and students, we are starting our final session in a few minutes. Let's wait for the guests to arrive.
In 2011, Commander Donde handed over the Madai to me with two simple words in standard Navy issue terms: all yours. From that day, the Madai was my responsibility, and I was the Madai's in the long voyage across the longitudes. Thus began our journey, with just the winds, waves, and the sun to guide us. I was accorded a ceremonial reception by the President of India, but when it was my turn to speak, I said, all that I want to ask today is, sir, can I go for one more round, please?
In 2018, Tommy participated in the 50th edition of the same race, but had met with an accident in the middle of it. He suffered spinal injuries, post which he needed a titanium rod to be inserted in his spine.
I was taking part in the GGR of 2018, and this race has been held only once before, in 1968. And then in 1968, out of 9 entrants, only 1 finished. When I was struck by a very bad storm, I had a fall of between 5 to 9 meters. I fell on an aluminum pole, my spine broke, and the race was over for me.
Good evening, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. It's really nice to be here with you guys today. I know you must be really tired. Anybody who wants to sleep through the next 1 hour, just do it. All right, so I don't know how to put it. I want to start my speech with these words. When I was in college and when I was, young like you, and when I was sitting on the other side, right? Everybody says that when I was young like you, I was like this, like that, etc. So when I was in college and when I was young like you, and when I was on the other side, that is how I want to start it, but I cannot because I never went to college. Sorry about that. So instead, what I'll ask you to do is just observe me for a minute. Watch me very carefully. Can you see me? Yes? Yeah? Do you see any problem? Any problem? Anybody? All right, so here's the thing. I was paralyzed 2 times. Once when I was a kid, another time when I was nearly 39 years old. And that's what I'm going to tell you. How it happened, how I got into it, how I came out of it, and the rest of the stuff. So, long ago, when I was in probably second or third standard, there was this boat called Trishna, which was an army boat. It went around the world with 19 stops and 6 people. And when it came back, they made a documentary about it, and this came out in television, and I was one of the people who saw it. And I told myself that when I grow up, I want to become a sailor. At the same time, a naval aircraft from my father's base crashed, and its pilot died. And when my mother read this news to me, I was so inspired, I decided I'll become a pilot when I grow up. So, I finished 12th standard. I get through engineering and medicine seats. I am like 456 in engineering, 567 in medicine in all Kerala ranking. But instead of going and joining an engineering college or a medicine college, I decide to join the Navy because that is where you can fly and sail, right? So I go to Goa, become a cadet, spend 3 years there, start learning to sail. And a year later, in 2001, I go to the Air Force, spend 1 year there, and I become a pilot as well. So I've fulfilled my dreams. I get to sail, I get to fly, but with each, let's say, with each step that I take, my ambitions grow bigger and bigger. I just don't want to be one of the people who sail. I want to take part in championships, and I do that. And then from small boats, I want to sail big boats, and I get opportunities. And one day I decide that someday, many years later, I want to sail around the world. Now this dream or this thought came to my mind when I was just 19 years old. I was in the Naval Academy when somebody handed over a book to me, and it's a magazine actually. This magazine spoke about a single-handed round-the-world race. And in that single-handed round-the-world race, a woman was leading. She was beating all men by many days. I was really inspired. I told myself that 20 years later, when I leave the Navy, I will do a single-handed circumnavigation. My first salary was 8,500 rupees. This was way back in 2000. And I was saving 8,000 rupees in my Provident Fund and spending only 500 rupees because as per my calculation, if I followed the saving pattern, then in 20 years' time, when I leave the Navy, I'll have enough money to buy a boat. But look at this. You start your dream in 1999. 10 years later, the Navy calls you and asks, 10 years later, in 2009, the Navy calls you and asks you if you can support another gentleman who's going around the world with stops. So his name is Captain Dilip Donde. I immediately say yes. Captain Donde goes around the world in a sailboat. He stops at 4 places. I fly down to every place, give him support, do the logistics, do the repairs, etc. And when his voyage comes to an end, the Navy's ambitions are reset. The Navy has bigger ambitions now, and the Navy wants to do a single-handed non-stop circumnavigation. And instead of asking for volunteers, the Navy directly asked me if I can do a non-stop circumnavigation. In 1999, I have this dream. I want to sail around the world alone. And exactly 10 years later, the Navy is giving me $1 million boat, pays me a salary and says, go around the world. Now, what exactly does a single-handed non-stop circumnavigation mean? You know how big is the Earth? Check. Anybody? You know how big is the Earth? Its circumference is 40,000 kilometers, right? So if you want to do a single-handed circumnavigation, you have to start your voyage from any port, sail around the world, do a distance of 40,000 kilometers, 23,000 nautical miles. You have to sail south of the three Great Capes, Cape Lewin in Southwest Australia, Cape Horn in South America, which is known as the known as the Everest of the seas, sail south of Cape of Good Hope, which is known as the graveyard of ships, and come back to the point where you... And in this journey, you have to cross the equator 2 times. You cannot stop anywhere. You have to be absolute. Check. I'm sorry. Maybe I'll use this mic. Check. Can you hear me? Yeah, sounds better, right? So you're doing a non-stop circumnavigation. You have to do at least 40,000 kilometers of sailing. You cannot stop anywhere. You cannot take anybody's help. So en route, if you run out of ballpoint pen, you run out of a little bit of water, and you ask somebody to gift you some water, you're straight away disqualified. You have to be absolutely alone. And I started my first circumnavigation on the 1st of November, 2012. It took me 151 days to finish this voyage. I sailed through what's called the roaring 40s, the furious 50s, screaming 60s. I went as far down south as 58.5 degrees south. And when I finished, after 5 months, I became a part of a very elite club. Now, how difficult is a single-handed non-stop circumnavigation? We know that climbing the Everest is considered to be a very tough adventure. But let me tell you, almost 12,000 people have summited the Everest as of now. Almost 600 people have gone to space, but the number of people, as on this date, who have completed a single-handed non-stop circumnavigation is less than 200. That's how difficult it is. In fact, when I finished my voyage, by the time I finished my voyage, I had gone through my fair share of disasters, fair share of storms, fair share of, everything. I ran out of water, my sails tore, I had lots of issues. But when I finished, after 5 months, when I came into Bombay at the Gateway of India, from where I had left 5 months ago, I saw that 3 helicopters gave me a fly past. There were a fleet of boats that were escorting me in. Out of these 3 helicopters, in one of the helicopters, the President of India himself was sitting. By the time I put my boat alongside at the gateway and I step out on land, I climb up the steps of the gateway, I see that the President of India himself is waiting there to give me a reception. So I salute him. I say, sir, single-handed non-stop circumnavigation of the Earth is complete. He salutes me back and he says, on behalf of 1.3 billion people of India, I welcome you back on land. Now, what happened on this day is very interesting. Okay, let's try this one. Are you happy listening to this mic? So what happened on this date, which is 6th of April 2013, is very interesting. Because a year later, when the President of America came to India as a chief guest for the Republic Day celebrations, I noticed that our President did not go to the airport to receive him. This was probably the only time that the President has come out of Rashtrapati Bhavan to receive anybody. It's never happened in the history of India. And that's how important the government considered this voyage to be. Now, what's the toughest thing that you can do besides a non-stop circumnavigation? I'll tell you what. 5 months, you've not spoken to anybody. You come back and land, and immediately they give you a mic and ask you to make a speech, and that too in front of the president. Tough, quite tough. Well, when I'm not prepared for a speech, I've got a trick. You guys can use this. You can apologize, and you can say thank you, right? So I used that trick, and I thought I would thank everybody who's helped me in this voyage. And I started thanking people in the order in which they're going to be forgotten. So the first person I thanked was leading seaman Mohammed Izar Alam, who used to clean my boat and prepare the boat and do little things and do all the maintenance work before I started. And then I thanked everybody up the order, up the ladder. And finally I had to end the speech. I did not know what to say. So I just turned to the president and I asked him, "Sir, can I go for one more round, please?" The president laughed. Everybody else laughed, because for them it was inconceivable that a person who's just been through so much trouble would want to go back into it. Now, soon I got opportunity to go back to the ocean. And that story starts in 1966. In 1966, an English sailor called Francis Chichester sails around the world alone with just one stop. And when he comes back, he is knighted by the Queen of England using Sir Francis Drake's sword. And Francis Drake had circumnavigated the earth in 1577, nearly 500 years before this. This incident, this achievement in sailing, led to a race among men to figure out who would be the first person to do a single-handed, non-stop circumnavigation of the earth. Sensing an opportunity, this newspaper called Sunday Times declared a race. They said that anybody who starts north of 40 degrees north, sails around the world, and finishes will be awarded the Sunday Times Golden Globe trophy. Anybody who finishes this race fastest, taking the least amount of time, will get an award of £5,000, which is almost probably close to £100,000 of money these days. So it was a lot of money for the fastest circumnavigator. The Golden Globe trophy for the first man to finish it. 9 men entered this race, and it became the most dramatic, most talked about sailing races of all times. It became such a dangerous race that this race, the Golden Globe race itself, was never repeated for many decades. What happened to these 9 men who started this race? Out of the 9 men, 5 retired before they could cross South Africa. That left 4 men. There was one gentleman who did this race for money and fame, apparently. His name was Donald Crowhurst. He thought that he could fool people. So instead of going around the world, he stayed in the Atlantic Ocean, but kept sending position reports as if he was sailing around the world, right? In those days, there were no satellite trackers, so you couldn't tell where exactly this person is. So he kept sending position reports as if he was sailing around the world. And one day, he could not keep up with his own lies. He jumps out of his boat and commits suicide. Nigel Tetley, who was leading the race for the title of the fastest circumnavigator, thought that somebody is catching up with him. He pushes his boat really hard, and just 1,000 miles to the finish, his boat sinks. Tetley is rescued. 3 years later, he commits suicide. And now we have 2 entrants left in the race. Bernard Moitessier, Frenchman. He is now the fastest circumnavigator. He started from England, crossed the North and South Atlantic, Indian Ocean, Pacific. He's back in the South Atlantic. All he has to do is go up, finish the race, and claim all the titles for himself. He asks himself a question: what do I get out of this? And the answer is, I get a lot of money, I get a lot of fame. His next question is, do I want this? And his answer is no. So instead of going for the finish, he takes one more round of the world. He goes into the Indian Ocean, he goes into the Pacific, and he stops in Tahiti, and he never comes back to France. And he says that he did all this to save his own soul. Now, the man who finishes the race claims the title of being the first person to do a single-handed non-stop circumnavigation, claims the title for the fastest circumnavigation alone is Robin Knox Johnston. Robin was a merchant navy officer who was based out of Bombay, when he decided to build a boat called Suheli, a small 32-foot boat. He takes it to England. He wants to sell this boat, get some money by way of sponsorship, and do the Golden Globe race in a bigger boat, but he doesn't get any sponsorship. He's not able to sell his boat. So instead, he does the circumnavigation on Suheli. So the first boat to do a single-handed non-stop circumnavigation was built. It was built in India. Now, fast forward 50 years. For 50 years, this race has never been held, right? Fast forward 50 years, 2018 is the golden anniversary of the Golden Globe race of 1968, and a man called Don McIntyre from Australia decides to have this race once again. The rules are quite simple. You have to start from Le Sable d'Olonne, a town in France. You have to sail around the world, 30,000 nautical miles, at least 300 days alone at sea. You have to cross 6 oceans, cross the equator twice, and you have to come back to the point where you had started from, which is France. Now, crucially, he said you cannot use technology that did not exist in 1968, which meant that there's no GPS, there are no mobile phones, iPads, iPods, no electronic watches, no electronic charts, no satellite phone, no satellite weather, no satellite internet, nothing. You had to rely on technology of 1968, which is basically a sextant, which is an instrument that measures the angle of the sun to 1/600th of a degree. Use a mechanical watch, do a lot of calculations involving spherical trigonometry, and somehow derive your position. That's how you figure out where you are. And then you've got a magnetic compass to find out what direction to go. You had to do this in very small boats, 32 to 36 feet boats, which are classic boats, second-hand boats, and these boats are slow and eventually quite dangerous for a race like this. Now, I write to Don McIntyre and I ask him, how do I join this race? And Don says, if you are going to take part in this race, then I'll give you a special invitation. So what I do is, I make a replica of Suheli in India, the original race-winning boat. I make a replica in India. I send it to Netherlands, where I finish its construction. And in the meantime, I'm looking for a sponsor. And just like Robin, I just don't find any sponsors. Now what I do is, I put all the money from my Provident Fund, I put all the money from, the money that I got from the government for winning a Kirti Chakra and finishing the first circumnavigation. I put all my savings to build this boat. And in the meantime, I go and ask my fiancée if we can get married. And she says, yes, why not? But I tell her, I don't have any money. She says, that's not a problem, let's do a registered marriage. So I go and get my marriage registered. The 2 witnesses who come with me are my manager and boat builder. And when my wife sees them, she asks, are you getting married or are you building another boat? Well, she was quite right. The trouble is, I didn't even have time to tell my parents that I was getting married. My father eventually found out on Facebook that I had just gotten married. And this was because by the time I reached France, the joke was that this guy's been married for a month. He needs a 9-month break now. And he's going to sail around the world in that break. So I finished the construction in Netherlands. I sailed a boat to Falmouth, where we had some activities. All entrants are coming to Falmouth. And the day after I reach, Sir Robin Knox Johnston sails into Falmouth in the Suheli, in the original Suheli. He's curious because I have come in a replica of his boat. He comes on my boat, signs the logbook, and as we leave, Robin asks me, how long do you think you're going to take to finish this race? Now, Robin had taken 312 days to finish the race. My boat is an exact replica of his boat. So I tell him, sir, 311 days, 1 day less than him. Robin looks at me and he says, you are young and ambitious. Robin is 80 years old now. He says, you're young and ambitious. I tell him, sir, you're old and jealous. Robin hears that. He holds my collar and said, damn it, I am a captain in the Navy. I said, sorry, you're a captain, I'm a commander, you're senior. I'll take 313 days, don't worry about it. Well, our little duel doesn't get over so quickly. The next day, we leave on a small race from from Falmouth to La Sable d'Olonne. But before that, something interesting happens. 50 years ago, Robin had started his circumnavigation from this point, right? And one night before starting his circumnavigation, he goes to a pub called the Chain Locker, gets drunk, and on his way out, he steals a barometer because he doesn't have a barometer in his boat. So he steals a barometer from the pub. And 50 years later, fast forward to 2018, Robin returns that barometer to the pub. Historic, right? It's returned in a very public event. It's publicized. It's big news all over England. 4 hours later, the barometer gets stolen again. Guess where it is? This time, it's on an Indian gentleman's boat sailing to France. I reach France, and then there's a lot of interest in, this flag that's flying on my boat, and people come and ask me, excuse me, which country's flag is this? And I would tell them it's the Indian flag. And their question is, you guys even sail in India? I said, of course we sail. But they asked this question so many times that I began to wonder if I looked like the Jamaican luge team, which was taking part in the Winter Olympics. That's how out of place I kind of felt. The race started on 1st of July, went off to a very slow start. Our first checkpoint was Lanzarote in Canary Islands. By this time, in the first 2 weeks, we already had 4 entrants retire. I crossed Lanzarote Gate in 10th position. I was quite behind the fleet because I had a boat that was very old in design for this race. But after that, something happened because of which I had to really speed up my boat. One day I got a message from the race organizers saying that I had to speak to my wife. Now, as per rules, I got a satellite phone, but I'm not allowed to talk to anybody except the race organizers. But the race organizer asking me to call my wife, and I know that if I do that, I'm breaking rules. But since these guys are asking me, there is a big reason for, them to break the rules. I wondered if my wife wanted my Facebook password. The last time she asked this, I gave her my credit card. Of course, I didn't have any money, but I just gave her my credit card. Now this time, I thought I'll just make the excuse and tell them that I don't have a number. So I didn't call her. The next message I get from the race organizers is, this is a number, please call her. I was like, fine. So I'm like really anxious, pick up the satellite phone, and I speak to my wife. And she speaks for 5 minutes. I expect there is some sort of emergency. There's no emergency at all. She is very calm and she's very composed and she's just talking and talking and talking, and I don't understand what is the problem. So I stop her and I ask her, what's the problem? We are breaking... Check. We are breaking a very important rule here by me calling you, and I don't sense any emergency. Why did you ask me to call you? And she's like, you idiot, you did not understand a single word of what I said. I was like, no, can you be very specific and tell me what exactly is the matter with you? She tells me, I called to tell you that you are becoming, or you are going to become, a father. I was like, what? I said, okay, let me call you back. I kept the phone, and I thought I'll share this news with all my friends, and I looked around. There were some flying fish, dolphins, I think some crabs and stuff like that. Nobody's interested in my life anyway. So I pick up the phone, and I think I'll talk to my wife only. So I speak to my wife, and I ask her, what do you want me to do? Should I come back? She says, no. You continue with the race. I've spoken to your parents, I've spoken to my mother, I've spoken to my friends, and they're happy taking care of me. And this is where I realized that my parents are fantastic people, because they came to know about my marriage through Facebook. Well, now I had a big reason to, do this very quickly. As I continued sailing down the Atlantic, I met a ship called BW Lilac. Now, as per rules of the Golden Globe race, I can ask another ship, where am I? Right? And they can give me, that is completely allowed. So I call this ship and I ask them for my GPS position. Somebody's phone is ringing. I ask them for my GPS position, and this gentleman on the ship happily gives me my GPS position. Now, I think he was a bit bored, so he asked me, why do you need GPS position? Why don't you have a GPS? I was like, I'm doing this race, and we are not allowed to have a GPS, but I can ask you. So he's like, how many people on the boat? I said, just one guy. And his next question is, are you European? I said, no, I'm Indian. Basically asked, what's your nationality? I said, Indian. So he was a bit surprised. He said, usually Europeans do such a race. And turns out this man in the ship was also Indian. His next question is, there is one guy from India who sails around the world alone. His name is Abhilash Tommy. Do you know him? I was like, let me think. Yeah, maybe I know him. And then I caught an accent in his voice. And I straight away asked him, Malayali ano? And he said, Ade sare, I'm Martin Marcos from Ernakulam and blah, 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 blah. And then we get talking, a lot of talking that happens. And we've been talking to each other for the last 5 years. I've never met him, but whenever he reaches land, he makes it a point to call me, and we have a nice little conversation. Okay, now, my wife is pregnant. I have to get back home quickly. So I push the boat. I cross into the Atlantic. I slip 3 positions. I'm in 13th place, but that was because of an intelligent routing that I did. As we round Cape of Good Hope, from 13th position, I jump to 5th position. And in the South Indian Ocean, I overtake Uku, I become 4th. And then I overtake Irishman Gregor McGuckin, and I'm in 3rd position. And the guy who's number 2 is just 100 miles ahead of me, which is half a day of sailing. And I'm so eager to, overtake him and get back home as quickly as possible, but fate had some other plans. We were exactly in the middle of the Indian Ocean, dead south of India, exactly between Australia and South Africa, where 3 of us, Gregor, myself, and Mark Slats, were hit by a very, very bad storm. In that bad storm, my boat capsized like that. I slipped out of the boat, and I clung to the mast, and, I got pressed underwater. I was almost 5 or 10 meters away from the boat. I got pressed underwater, and when the boat straightened, I was on top of the mast. It was probably 5-6 meters above the deck, and from there I fell. My back hit an aluminum pole, and then I fell on the deck, and I went inside, and I saw that everything was a mess. There were like knives and tools spread around, because it's like you take your house and somebody shakes it like that. Imagine what can happen. So there were charts which were stuck on the ceiling, some charts in the water, cushion somewhere else, sail somewhere else. Your stove was plugged out and it was hanging on a hose. Diesel leaked from the diesel tank. It was a complete mess. I cleared whatever I could, and after 30 minutes when I tried to stand up, my knees just collapsed like that. Then I waited a bit and I tried to stand up again, and my knees couldn't take my weight. It collapsed like that again. Then I tried to pull myself up like this, holding on to some furniture. I tried to pull myself up and stand, and again, my knees collapsed, and I fell. Then I crawled, and then I pulled myself onto a bunk. I took the satellite device, sent a text message to the race organizers, rolled, dismasted, severe back injury, cannot get up. And that led to the biggest search and rescue of this decade. 4 countries and 6 units were looking for me. There was Gregor McGuckin, whose boat was dismasted. He jury-rigged a temporary mast. He started sailing towards me. India and Australia dispatched P-8 Orion and Poseidon aircrafts to, come and search for me. India dispatched a stealth frigate called Satpuda. Australia dispatched a frigate called Ballarat. And finally, it was a French fisheries patrol vessel called Osiris, which came and picked me out of the boat on the 4th day. Now, what was I doing there with a broken back in those 3.5 days? No food to eat, because I can't stand and cook. No water to drink, because I cannot stand and pump. A lot of vomiting, a lot of hiccups, a lot of acidity, a lot of back pain. What do you think was my mental condition like? I was going to lose my boat. I had spent 2.6 crores on the boat alone. The entire project cost me 4 crores. I didn't have a sponsor. It was completely my money, and that too a lot of loans. What do you think was my mental state? I tried to cry. I couldn't. I laughed about it, and I started preparing for the next race. I was like, I'm going to look for a sponsor, then I'm going to buy this particular boat, and this particular person is going to prepare my boat technically, and this guy is going to be my manager. And this is what I was doing in those 3.5 days. Finally, rescue came. They picked me out in a stretcher, took me to an island called Amsterdam Island, where one day the runs to me and he asked me, is your Prime Minister an important person? I was like, Prime Minister Modi is an important person. What sort of a question is that? I was like, what happened? Why are you asking me this question? This guy says, oh, the Prime Minister is going to call you. And he did. And he asked about my health. And I told him that if I get better, if I can walk, I'm going to go back into this race. Satpura lands up. They send a helicopter, put me inside the helicopter in a stretcher, take me to the ship. And 16 days after the accident, I reach India, where I'm taken to a hospital, and there's an MRI scan, and they see 4 fractures in my spine. And the doctors tell me, you're not going to get up, you're not going to walk, you're going to be just lying down. And they put me in a special aircraft, take me to Delhi, another CT scan, 18 days from the date of the accident. They cut open my back, put 2 titanium rods in my spine, fuse it into a single piece, put some, bone grafting or all that, and 5 vertebrae become a single piece. Now I go home in a wheelchair, right? I go home in a wheelchair. I'm wheeled into my house. My wife is there. She is 3 months pregnant. And imagine this. I'm supposed to be taking care of her. Instead, she has to look after herself, and she has to make sure that this stupid husband of hers is back on his feet again. I do 2 months of physiotherapy, and in 2 months of physiotherapy from a wheelchair, I'm able to walk. I go back, join duty on the 25th of December. 6 months later, I go back for the Navy's medicals. They clear me to get back into a cockpit and start flying aircrafts, get back into a sailing boat and start sailing again. And to get back into an aircraft cockpit, I had to do an emergency drill where they blindfold you, put you inside a plane in a cockpit, strap you up, put the entire plane underwater. You have to wait for 5 seconds, hold your breath for 5 seconds, and then start your exit. You have to unstrap, feel your way out, look for a very small window, open it, push it out, just by feel, and make your exit. Not once, 5 times from the pilot seat, 5 times from the pilot seat. And after that, they will strap you on and pull you up as if a helicopter is pulling you up. I did all that despite the surgery. And finally, I started taking part in sailing races. 2021, I quit the Navy, started looking for a sponsor. And finally, in March 2022, I found a sponsor in UAE, signed a contract with them, headed immediately to France, picked up exactly the same boat that I was dreaming about when I had the accident. I bought exactly the same boat, sailed to Netherlands, and guess who was preparing my boat? Dick Koopmans. When I had the accident, I decided that he has to prepare my boat, and he agreed to prepare my boat for. I spent 1.5 months. Now, when I started preparing the boat, the rest of the entrants had already finished their preparations. I prepared the boat in 1.5 months, and then went for a quick qualification passage in the North Sea and the English Channel and the Bay of Biscay and Atlantic. Finished in Spain, a place called Gijón, and from there I had to do a very short race to Les Sables d'Olonne. All the entrants were racing from Gijón to Les Sables d'Olonne. And then another interesting thing happened. My manager was sailing with me. He was an English guy. He was on watch. He was supposed to be looking out. He did not do that. A very simple job. He was a very young guy, 27 years old. He just didn't follow orders. He didn't see a ship, a big 150-meter long ship. He didn't see it. My boat collided with the ship. The bow was completely crushed, mast had damage, a lot of problems. I had been waiting for this moment for the last 4 years. I was so desperate to take part. Finally, things were falling in place. I had a sponsor. I had a good technical guy to prepare the boat. I was very pumped up. And now, just 3 weeks before the start, the boat has an accident, and now there's a good chance that I won't make it to the start. Well, we arrive in Les Sables d'Olonne. All of France, all of Europe is on a holiday. Nobody wants to, help. But Dick Koopmans pulls up some old favors, and then we have a yard in Belgium that agrees to repair the boat. My boat is finally repaired just 4 days before the start of the race. And then I have to focus on the green card checks, the security, safety checks, and load up the boat for almost 8-9 months at sea. And finally, we start the race on 4th of September. I crossed the first checkpoint in Lanzarote in 4th position. I was 10th in 2018 when I crossed this checkpoint. Crossed the equator in 2nd position. We reached Cape Town Gate in 4th position. And, we were still in the leading pack. And till here, I was not able to communicate with my family. There was just this doubt or this question that was nagging me so badly that it was making me very frustrated. I wanted to know if my son had started going to school or not. The son who was conceived before GGR 18. I just wanted to know if he had started going to school or not. So I used to call up passing ship and ask them to send a message to my wife and check with her if my son had started going to school. But I never got a reply, because by the time the ship got a reply, they would move so far away that they were not able to tell me. When I went into Cape Town, my sponsors came out in a boat. They held a laptop, did a video call with my family, and in that video call, I see my son going to school, and that was his first day in school. And you have no idea how happy I felt to see that. We crossed Cape of Good Hope, and now we were entering the Southern Ocean. Southern Ocean, they say that at 40 south, there are no rules, 50 south, there are no laws, 60 south, there are no gods, 70 south, there is no common sense. That's how bad it is. That's how, stormy it is. As soon as I entered the Southern Ocean, it started showing its true colors. One of the competitors' boats sank, and I got a message to go and rescue him. So I headed towards him, but there was another, entrant called Kirsten who was close. She responded 6 hours later, and she reached him first and picked him out of his life raft. So this is the first boat we were losing. Now, we continued sailing along the Indian Ocean. I crossed that point where I had the accident, and as soon as I crossed it, I felt incredibly light, as if I had achieved something. The boat also felt the lightness, and soon we set the 7-day speed record in the race, sailing 1,165 days in 7 hours. We reached Tasmania, now in 3rd position. And as I entered Tasmania, my sponsor, they were there. The CEO was there. He was mighty thrilled. He comes out and he says, Abhilash, you've achieved what you've wanted to achieve. You crossed that point where you had the accident. You can stop if you want. We as sponsors have gotten everything that we wanted out of this race. You can stop. There is no pressure on you. But I said, no, I need to continue sailing. I need to finish it, right? Just crossing the point where the accident was not good enough. I get out of Tasmania, close to New Zealand. I overtake Kirsten, and now we are number 2. And then we sail. But on 26th of January, I get into a storm. I end up steering the boat for 12 hours, and at the end of it, my back packs up again. There's a lot of damage to the boat, but my back packs up again, because of which right leg... Check. My back packs up, and my right leg stops working. And in the storm for 3 days, I am surviving by dragging my right leg like that, or sometimes I'm just sitting and crawling around the boat, trying to finish work. On the 4th day, I can't take it anymore. I call the race organizers and I tell them that I need to speak to my doctor. They patch up a call. I speak to my physiotherapist and he advises some, exercises. And I do that for nearly 1 month before my back and legs start feeling better. But things don't end here. 5th of February was my birthday. The birthday party was on the 7th of February, when I had another storm. And my boat capsized 2 times. I went like that twice. The videos are there on YouTube. You can have a look at it. More damage. Lots of damage. My wind generators, the pole that goes into the mast of the wind generators broke. I had 2 big holes in the deck. Sail store, topping lift, preventers, travelers, diesel leak, gas leak, electrical blackouts. I mean, the list was quite endless. I repaired every problem in the boat and I continued heading towards Cape Horn. Just before reaching Cape Horn, on the southwest tip of Chile, my self-steering broke. There's an aluminum paddle that goes underwater that broke. And that was the last spare I had on the boat. So I called the race organizers and I asked them if I can make just one phone call to my team manager for a solution. They said, of course, you can make a phone call. And why stop at a phone call? Their response was, you make a phone call, you can open your GPS, you can ask for pilotage, you can go into the nearest port, you can stop, you can take food, water, spares, you can even stay in a hotel, you can get a massage if you want, but you'll have to retire. You'll not be in the main event. I said, no chance. I'm not going to retire. And in the meanwhile, they call my wife and they tell her that we think it's over for Vilash. We think he is going to retire now. He's not going to finish this race at Les Sables alone. But I had some other plans. I rip off my toilet door, and from there I saw a rudder and I plug it into the self-steering. That breaks in 1 hour. Then I take a hatch cover and I plug it in. That works, but it's not powerful enough. I take my emergency rudder and I chop wood and make a rudder and I try to plug it in. It's too thick. I try to make it, thinner. But I don't have a chisel, so I take a screwdriver and use a mallet and I try to make it thinner. And I realize that if I work at this pace for the next 1 week, I might be able to get it to the right thickness. So I discard that, I shut my eye, and now I'm looking for metal pieces that I can scavenge out of the boat and I can make a rudder out of it. So first thing that comes to my mind is the gas toe. I think I can remove the gas toe and remove steel plates and make a rudder for this. And then I realized that I've got a lot of metal in the anchor which is stored right at the bow of the boat. So I remove all the sails, reach my anchor, I take out the anchor and I dismantle it, and I find a piece of aluminum this big, very narrow but this big, and I think it might just work. I take it, the thickness is just right, I plug it in, screw it on, it works. And like that I cross Cape Horn. 10 years and 23 days after the first crossing, and that was on 26th of January 2013. Now, here's the thing. Cape Horn is so difficult to round that you're given two privileges for rounding it. One, you are allowed to wear a golden earring on the ear that face Cape Horn. Two, you're allowed to keep 1 foot on the dining table anytime you have dinner, because of which nobody invites me for dinner these days. They just give me tea and say, okay, you can carry on, go back home. I rounded Cape Horn 10 years and 23 days after the first rounding. After the first rounding, I celebrated with chicken biryani from DFRL. This time, I celebrated with chicken biryani from DFRL once again. I headed north, and now I was number 2, fighting with Kirsten. I did not know what her position was. I was technically racing with Kirsten to win this race. Close to Rio Plata, which is between Uruguay and Argentina. On the same day, my running backstay parted and my mainsail ripped almost 4 meters. Now the running backstay parted at the top of the mast, so I had to climb with a replacement. I didn't have a replacement, I didn't have a spare running backstay, so I removed my guardrail, which was the same thickness of steel. I climbed the mast with that guardrail almost 10 meters up, replaced that. It took about 3 or 4 hours to finish that, replaced it, came down, replaced the guardrail with an emergency HF antenna. Then I removed the entire mainsail, started stitching it, started raining. So I took the mainsail inside the boat, finished stitching, and I had to work 26 hours non-stop with no food, no water, nothing, just to finish this work, set the mainsail back, and continue racing. Close to the equator, I saw that a lot of tins of meat I was carrying had rusted away. They had popped open and all the meat had worms in it. So I had to nearly throw away 50 days worth of food and clean the entire compartment with Lysol. And I had such a severe phobia of eating meat that I just didn't want to touch another can of meat, which caused a new problem. I started having intense vertigo. My head kept spinning and spinning and spinning, and I didn't know what was the reason. It continued for almost a week. Finally, I had some cans of meat, and the vertigo stopped in a few hours. Well, I continued sailing up, faced my last storm in the North Atlantic, went into the Bay of Biscay with no visibility at all, and finally I finished the race after 236 days at sea on the 29th of April this year. I realized that I was second in this race. I realized that I had finished second in this race. I realized that I had created a record. This was the first time an Asian skipper was finishing on the podium of a circumnavigation race in any format in the history of sailing. Well, as soon as I arrived, I put my boat at the pontoon in La Sable d'Olonne, and there was this journalist who put a mic into my mouth and asked a question. What does this mean for the average Indian little guy? I was quite upset by that question. Why did he call us little Indians? He asked, what does this mean for the average Indian little guy? I told him there are no average Indians. I told him we are all extraordinary people. I told him that I come from a country where the total number of boats in the entire country is less than the number of boats you will find in one pontoon in this marina. And if I can come from such a country and finish second in a round the world race, just imagine what the rest of us can do if we are given the right opportunities. Well, guess what happened to me soon after the Golden Globe race? Any guesses? You think I got a lot of awards? You think I got a lot of interviews? I got COVID. So for another 10 days, I could now be isolated from people. I didn't have to talk to them. I didn't have to mingle with anyone. And I had more holiday. Well, that's a story. On the way back, when I landed at Delhi airport, the Navy gave me a big reception, and almost 35 admirals were there to meet me. And I got an opportunity to thank everybody who was there to help me recover from 2018. There was a doctor who operated my spine. There was the commanding officer of Satpura who came to, rescue me from the South Indian Ocean. And I'll tell you this thing. When Satpura was diverted to come and pick me up, that's when the commanding officer of this ship got news that his father had expired. He was given a choice. He could come back and he could go and attend his father's funeral, but his reply was, no, I think Abhilash needs me more. So instead of going for his father's funeral, he heads south and then he rescues me and brings me back. I met the Navy Chief, Admiral Hari Kumar, who had helped me a lot in 2018 to go into the race and also to pluck me out of that situation. And I met a lot of such people who had helped me go into 2018 race, come out of 2018 race, and go into the 2022 race. So thank you. Thanks for being such a wonderful audience. Good luck for the beginning of the academic year, which is, I believe, tomorrow. Again, I want to tell you that many years ago, I was sitting like a student listening to somebody when I was attending college, but I've never been to college. So I will not, patronize and say such things. If you want to ask any questions, I'm here. Feel free to ask. Thank you. All right. As I see it, nobody wants to ask anything. So, yes? A mic, please. A mic, please. Here.
I'm sure like when you were out there in the sea, there were days when you felt like it's pitch dark, like there's no hope, right? You find yourself in certain situations sometimes. So youngsters like us, sometimes we also find ourselves in places where we feel like, there's no coming out of it. You face so many situations and struggles like that. So what is that one advice you would like to give to all the youth who are in that, phase? So, there's always hope out of any situation. You're a big example of that. So any message you would like to give to youngsters?
Right. So I want to correct you here. I'm sorry, but you made an assumption that I lost hope. I never did.
No, we youngsters.
No, I'm just correcting you. I'm sorry. It's you make an assumption that I lost hope. I never did. I'll tell you what. This thing about assumptions. Have you heard this nursery rhyme, Baba Black Sheep? Yeah? Can you recite it with me? Baba Black Sheep. Thanks. I mean, that's enough. I understand that you know this nursery rhyme. Why did you sing it like this? Because you've been taught, right? And then you assume that that's the only way to sing it. There's another version of it. Do you want to hear that? Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? No, get lost. So, to be honest, I did not lose hope. I just tackled the problems as they came. I don't know, I mean, sorry, I didn't lose hope anyway. If you want to rephrase the question, yes, of course.
You didn't lose hope, that's why you're here, right? So youngsters like us, we find ourselves like in this spot in life where we feel like hopeless sometimes. Is there anything you would like to tell us that...
Yes, of course. Now, here's the thing. What makes a situation good or bad? It's what you feel about it, right? So like I said, when I had the accident, I was in such, debt, and I'm going to lose my boat, which doesn't have insurance. My spine is broken, my wife is pregnant, and that's supposed to be the worst point of my life, right? But I just didn't call it the worst point of my life. I just said, here's an incident, it's happened, that's it. Similarly, if I have some big success, I just say, oh, I've just completed the GGR without calling it good or bad. So the thing is, you decide what is good or bad. It is you who give those qualities. And if you think a situation is very bad, you feel hopeless. So what my suggestion is, don't give it any quality. It's neither bad nor good. It's just one of the things that happen to you. And these things will keep happening. There will be so-called bad things. There will be so-called good things. Don't give it any quality. And you'll have a very peaceful life. Now, if you end up in a stressful situation, I use some tricks, to get things under control. What you need to realize is that it is the mind which ascribes these qualities of good or bad. You need to first get your mind under control. To get your mind under control, what I do is I focus on breathing. Okay? So if you can just breathe for 5 minutes, just focus on breathing for 5 minutes, Very slowly, just breathe in and breathe out for 5 minutes. Your emotional state will become quite peaceful and calm, and you will be able to make a better appreciation of the situation. You'll be able to find more doors that you can probably force open in that situation. You'll be able to find better solutions. And maybe you can try this trick. It will definitely work for you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Somebody there? Yeah. Can you scream?
Sir, you are such an inspiration. So can I come down and give me a hug?
Oh yeah, please, quickly. Thanks. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, others don't get ideas from him. Huh? This is the only time I'm going to say yes to such a request. And to be honest, this is the first request I'm getting to get a hug. All right, so I think that's it. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for being such a fantastic audience. And once again, good luck for tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that very enriching and interactive session. I'm sure the students had fun. We request you to kindly stay back on the stage for 2 more minutes. There was a social media feedback posting competition held during the induction 2023 of this year's management students of Rajagiri. I hereby call out the names of the 2 winners to come forward and collect your prizes from our guests here. The second prize is an Amazon gift voucher worth rupees 5,000, and it goes to Abel Joe's Baby of MAHRM. Abel, if you're anywhere around, please come forward to collect your award. The first prize is an Amazon gift voucher again, worth rupees 10,000, and the award goes to Gina Josie, again from MAHRM. Please give her a big round of applause. Congratulations, winners. Thank you very much, sir. We have now come to the close of the session. We once again wish all the Rajagirians the most enriching learning days ahead in Rajagiri Hill and Valley campuses. Here are a few instructions to the students. There would be buses plying from the Kakanad campus to the Kalamassery campus soon after the program. Students accompanied by parents can return along with them if needed. The regular academic sessions for the newly joined students will be held at the Kalamassery campus. Details regarding the conduct of classes, class timings, and classrooms shall be conveyed to you by your respective batch coordinators in your official class WhatsApp groups. The students are required to deposit the diyas in the box outside the auditorium once the program is over. Students in need of any help or assistance may approach any of the faculty members or any of the student volunteers. Refreshments are waiting for you outside the doors. The freshers and the teacher and the parents may collect it first. Thank you and wish you all the very best. Please note, students of the Tri-Star Women's Hostel will have to meet Ms. Geetu, your warden, hostel warden, soon after the program is over. She'll be waiting for you downstairs. Thank you.
Deeksharambham College of Social Sciences.